Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sasha Reed. Thank you if you're coming back again for another visit with me. I've got a design team project share today with a bunch of Alina's dies. I've been trying to get through all my Christmas dies and using them up. I've got a lot of Christmas cards to make for friends and family and neighbours, and I've got a lot of Christmas dies from her. She's got absolutely tons in her shop and they're all original designs, so go and check her out. She's fantastic. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a few cards, so let's get started. So these are the dies and stamps we're going to be using, and I will show you them as we go. So first of all was this stamp set that I got from her. It just says Happy Holidays, and it's two stamps, so you got sort of an outside edge and then the inside, and the final image ends up being 12 by 9, I believe. So I have made 3 cards. I thought I would just keep it as simple as possible, and so what I did was I just stamped them using some embossing powder on white. So I've got a dark blue card, black and purple, and all I did was I stamped the outside first and then I stamped the sentiment on the inside. Now I did use a stamp platform because I find sometimes it's nice if you can get your embossing ink down 3 times rather than just stamping it once. So I used a stamp platform so I could line it up every single time, and then I did the same with the holidays. So it looks like that, and then on the inside I layered it with the coordinating colour of embossing ink on the outside. So I've got a gold layer underneath my white card, and then on this one I've got gold as well, and then in this one I did silver because I did silver on the front. With this one I used Alina's gems, and then with this one I used those gems that I got from Every Craft's a Pound, which was my last video. And then on this one I used Nouveau drops, and for whatever reason the Nouveau drops seem to have absorbed my purple colour from the cardstock underneath. So on some of them they have got sort of purple dots, which is a bit annoying, but never mind. So on this card here I used some of these gems from Alina's shop, and they look like that. Now the only downside is that I've been finding with some of these that they're kind of popping off in the packaging. So for example this one, you can see some gems have like fallen down in the pack. I don't know if that's because my office gets, sorry the glare, if my office gets cold and warm, so it's in an office conversion, so I turn the heat off when I'm not in here and then I put it on. So I don't know if that has to do with it, and that's why the adhesive was kind of popping up. They still are sticky, so on this one several had popped off, and I used all the ones that had popped off and stuck them down on here, and they've stayed stuck. Like none of them have popped off since. So just a word of warning, some of these might pop off on you in the packaging, but they seem to still be sticky if you do choose to buy some of those. They come in packs of 2 or 3, these pearls, and you get 3 different sizes in each pack. So those are the ones I used on this card here. And then on this one was my Every Craft's a Pound. So I got these for £1, 1080 stickers, and they're all individual gold gems, and they're all very, very small, or rhinestones, if you want to call them that. And then that was my Nouveau drops. So those are 3 Christmas cards that I made using that stamp set. Next is this die here, which is really pretty. I've got this new mat from Altenew, and it's really sticky, so every time I stick something down it won't move. It's not sticky like tacky, but like it's like a rubber, and it's really sticky. Anyways, I've got this die set here, and it's really pretty, and my idea behind it was I wanted to cut it out of foam and then do a shaker card and do like the stars individually and have some gold in the stars and then have some white in this giant snowflake and just kind of pour each hole individually. So I did cut out the shape out of foam, and it cut perfectly when I ran it through, and then I realized that I was going to really struggle to stick it on. I'd have to individually put adhesive down, because if I didn't then the sequins would just kind of slide between all the gaps. And then I thought, oh, that's going to be a nightmare gluing all of this. So then I stuck it with some double-sided sticky tape from Alina's shop. and then ran it through, and it didn't want to cut all the way through. For whatever reason, it just did not want to cut all these fine little tiny details. And so what I did was I ran it through again, and then on the second time round it cut a lot easier, but it stretched all the foam. So when I went to put it behind the image, it was everything was just stretched out of proportion. The outside edge didn't fit. It made a right mess. I think I threw it in the bin. Okay, I didn't throw it in the bin. So here it is. You can see my gluey mess. There's glue everywhere. This one is the first one I did actually, where I tried to put glue on the back of everything. And it just stretched and warped, and it was just such a nightmare. So my dream of filling these holes in with individual little seed beads just didn't work. So I was getting really upset because I tried and I tried and I tried. And then sometimes I think you just have to change your vision. So you might have this little vision in your head, but it doesn't always allow for it. It's a beautiful die, but it's very intricate, and so cutting the foam and making a shaker out of it just did not work. So that was my trial run. In the end, I made this beautiful card. So in the end, I just ran Alina's foam tape around the edges. So this is the 5mm or 3mm, I can't remember. It's really thin, it's the thinnest one. And I cut it in half, so I made it even thinner. And then I just ran that foam tape all along the edge, and it worked out really well. Just zoom in for you. So I put some sequins in the bottom, the gold sequins from her shop, these ones here, and then she's got all these little seed beads. I've put all my seed beads in this container from her shop as well, which works really nice. So I've just used these little teeny tiny beads. You can see them in there. I used those and poured some of those in. And then what I did was I ran, just to kind of make sure it was more stable, because I didn't want to have just the foam on the outside of the card. So I ran a bit of foam along here, so you can kind of see just there's my foam kind of poking out. So I ran some foam along there, and then that way I could fill the top as well. So now I've just got the little seed beads at the top, and I've got the sequins down at the bottom. And then these strips are my latest purchase from the States. So when I went to Canada in the summer, I bought a stamp set, which has kind of gone for a bit of a walk, but I then purchased 2 more. And so we got a birthday sentiments one, and then we've got Christmas ones. And these are really fun because they stamp like that. You get all of them in one go, and they stamp these little squares. And then you can buy the die that goes with it, and you just line the die up over the squares, and then it cuts all of them out for you. And it took me minutes, like hardly any time at all. And so I did it in gold and I did it in black, and then I used the sentiments. And they're really lovely sentiments as well. They weren't cheap. I paid, in Canada, I paid I think $19 for one set, and then it was basically about that as well when I ordered it from the States. And then I ordered the dies as well. So I ordered 2 stamps and the dies, and it came to like $60. So it wasn't in any way cheap, but I love them, and they seem like the best purchase at the moment for me, just because I can cut all those sentiments out in one go. And then we end up with these. I don't want to put them down on my mat because they will just go everywhere. Oh, everything's falling off. So then you end up with all these sentiments that are perfectly cut, and it's just loads of fun. So I'm really, really happy with that purchase. But that's what I stuck on here, and then I just stuck a gem on the center there. That's my fun shaker card, which was really quick, really simple, really easy, and I wish I'd done it that way the first time. Next up is this little set here. It does go that direction, and it comes with the stamp that coordinates in that little shape there. So this was fun. I just wanted a simple, easy card, and once I made my card I thought of loads of other ways I could do it in the same. But I die cut it out of blue. Let's put it the right way around. I die cut it out of blue, and then I stuck it down on my card. I stamped it in gold, silver. Not with it today. A little gem on there, and then a bunch of gems here. This is a stamp from that set that I just shared with you. And then I did a really thin border of blue onto my white card. and it just opens like that. So I did this fun little card like this, and then I thought afterwards I could have just die cut it out of this white, stuck the white down, and then the blue would have shown through, and you would have the same effect. Or you could do a die cut inlay, and I could have die cut it out the white, stuck the white down, and then stuck this into that, and so it would be quite fun. There's a lot of variety with this one that you could do, but a simple little card is perfect. And this card measures 10.5 by 10.5. So the die works out to about, I think it was 10 by 10. And then I just made my card base 10.5 by 10.5. And I kind of went a little wonky when I stuck it down because it's so thin. I was struggling to kind of get it down with the wet glue on it. So I kind of mucked that up a bit. But I'm still really, really happy with how this turned out. Next up is these stars. So when I first cut them, I was really confused. I had no idea what I was doing. You need to cut 2, and then you're going to stick them together. But I was like, what in the world? How am I going to do this? So I went onto Alina's site, looked at a picture, and then it kind of made sense. But it took me a minute to work out how they go together. But they go together really quick and really simple. So I made this little... it's not a mobile, what is it? I don't know what you would call it, but it's a little decoration. I've just kind of used some gold and white thread, and I've done the 3 stars like that, and then I just plan to hang it probably from the doorway when we walk into my living room, and just have it be like a little Christmas decoration. When I was a kid, my family always had those Christmas decorations, I don't know what they're called, where they come flat and then you open them up like that, like a fan, and then you kind of open them all the way around and you get this giant, massive star. And we always hung them from all the doorways. And so I think I'm going to hang this one from the front doorway when you walk in. And so one of the nice things is that when you make them, they've got the perfect circle right at the tip of every single star, so you can hang them, which is really good fun. Now I wish I had double-sided glitter card, but I don't, so I've got white on that side and then the gold on that, so if it swings around you're going to see the white. But I just thought that was really fun to have as like a little decoration. This one's small enough that you could put it on a card, but it would be a card that you'd want to hand deliver because it's quite dimensional. But they're really cute, really pretty, and really simple to put together. So I'm just going to show you now how you stick it together, because if you buy it, I don't want you getting frustrated. So what you need to do is cut it twice, and then you're going to fold all the creases, which is really easy. Let me zoom in for you. So you're going to fold all the creases in the same direction. Not the same direction, but like, you know, going on the same side. And then you're going to take your other one and you're going to fold it the opposite way. So, I mean, when you've got colored cardstock, that's the same on each side. It doesn't really matter. But if you want to do stars out of gold glitter paper, then you need to fold one direction and fold the other one the other direction. So literally you're going to be just sticking them together. So you want to make sure that your folds are going opposite directions. So you've got the one that's poking upward, going this facing down, and the other one that's poking that way, facing the other way, if that makes sense. And you're going to aim for this pointy bit is going to go in the middle of there. So you're going to line up your slits with the pointy bit going inside, and then you just line up the other one. And there might be a simpler way of doing it, but I'm not so good with the paper, and I always like the hard way. But basically I just kind of gently squish them, not squish them, but I gently kind of coax them where they should go. And it feels like it's not going to work because it just feels too big for those slits, but then it just starts going together and it's really brilliant. So, and then you tuck that one down and line the slits up, and then tuck that one in there. This is where it's like, just be gentle, Sasha, be gentle. I'm sure there's probably a way where you can just slide them all in one go, but I seem to like the difficult way. There we go, that's in. And so then that's all of them in, and then there's your star. And then what I tend to do is I tend to just take my pokey tool and just kind of push it in a little bit if it's sticking out. That little point, if it's poking outward, then I just kind of just tuck it down so it's pointing down. And then that's your star. And then it's got the perfect little circle on every single one, so you can hang it if you like. And it's quite cool, isn't it? I'm really happy with that. You can dust the edges in glimmer or glitter or Wingastella, like just loads of little options. But yeah, that's how you make the star. Right, then last but not least, this is probably my favorite one. And again, I played with it a bit and I was trying to work out options. But I've used this one. This is exactly 6 inches. So on your big shot, you've got to bear in mind, this is basically the width of your big shot platform. Now, I've got a Gemini, which I got for my birthday a couple weeks ago. And it's A4, so it fits much bigger. So this was a breeze for me in that machine. But you will have to mind that the outside one is exactly the width of your big shot platform. So you will be able to use it, but just be mindful of that. You've got this little house in there, and then this beautiful snowflake rim. I also use this set here, which all the rest of the dies are hiding on my desk, which is all these dies here. This is one of my favorites from Alina's shop. I love using it. That I used on the inside of my card, and you'll see that in a minute. So this is the card I made, which is here. I'm going to zoom in for you a bit. So on my card, too much. So on my card, I die cut the blue out of just a piece of blue cardstock, but my card base is the same as the blue one, but I die cut it so that my die was hanging just over the edge. So I folded a piece of A4 cardstock in half, and then I lined it up so that it would cut the whole entire edge of the paper, and that's kind of what I was left with poking over the edge. And I did that so that I could make a card base, a circular card base out of that die. So that's where my card folds, but you don't see that from the front. It just looks like the perfect circle. And then I did this in the ombre glitter card, so I don't know if you can tell, but that's like a darker purple to a light purple. And that was really pretty. And then this one is what I played around with. So I originally got out my Arteza alcohol markers and I started coloring in the image, and then I just felt like it just did not work, but I wanted it to look different. I wanted it to stand out a bit more. So I die cut out of Alina's 3mm foam, ran it through, glued it on, and then now I've got this really cool dimensional card. And again, I used my sentiments. I popped one up on foam, and then I stuck ones flat down, and these are the ones from the Tailored Expressions. And then on the inside, I wanted it to have a bit of something fun. So that's where I've used that die there, if you can see it. And then I just found one of my stamps in my stash and stamped a border edge around it, and then I can write my message on the inside. So it doesn't work if you stand it up like that because it's got the extra bit there, but you can just open it flat and it works just fine because that bit just goes over the top of the back like that. So it works really nice, and then when someone gets it, they can just stand it up like that and it can roly-poly about. But that's my favourite card, I think, and it took me no time at all because literally all I did was die cut the circle, die cut that, and just glued it on, and I really love how it turned out. So that is all my project shares for today. I will be back again next week with some more. So stay tuned, and thank you so much for coming and joining me. Thank you for your amazing comments. You guys are absolutely awesome. And thank you to all of you who share what's going on in your life and just become a bit more personal on YouTube. I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me. See you soon. Bye.